that men and women in this country have the right to defend their own lives.
We can't sit here and have debates. We can't wait for the 30-day session in January.
And I will keep doing everything that's based in science and fact and public safety effort.
A critical and urgent issue, gun violence in America. We're here because gun violence is destroying community.
Not really. Look, if you want the community to be safer, show me that you can do that. For the city that has the most significant issues today and a challenge to the state.
Breaking news, the authoritarian governor of New Mexico's impeachment procedure has officially started. Judge halts temporary open carry ban. Michelle Grisham, the governor of New Mexico, has issued an emergency order that bans the open carrying of arms in Bernalillo County and Albuquerque. The order was temporarily halted by the judge, Judge David Herrera Urias, who recognized that it was clearly in violation of the Second Amendment. Only Sections 1 and 4 of the Public Health Order, which prohibit the possession of arms on government property, including public parks and schools, are covered by the order. Law enforcement officials and licensed security personnel are exempt, though. With reference to Supreme Court rulings that emphasize the legitimacy of ownership for self-defense both inside and outside the home, the lawsuit that contested these restrictions claimed they violated the rights protected by the Second Amendment. The lawyers argued that the governor does not have the ability to abridge fundamental basic rights, not even in an emergency. Protecting civil rights, including the right to carry an arm, is in the best interest of the general public, according to all attorneys present in the courtroom. The public health order is just transitory and not a law, according to the governor's attorney. Thus, it does not have the same impact on New Mexicans' rights. Judge argued against it.
If you were serious, you would acknowledge that 96% of mass public shootings happen in an area where guns are banned.
None of those individuals or groups focused on the actual injuries or deaths of the public.
Directly attack the issue at hand, and for me, it's very laser focused. It's violent crime in the metro.
The governor's plans to expand the number of New Mexico State police officers stationed in Bernalillo County and to improve health care services for drug users and the homeless are other aspects of the public health order that are still in effect. Senator Greg Baca, the head of the Republican Party in the Senate, expressed his appreciation to the judge for rejecting an order that Baca thought was illegal. The state's leaders, including mayors, county commissioners, legislators, and law enforcement officials, were urged to join Governor Grisham in implementing measures that would save lives and create a safer environment. She emphasized her commitment to addressing issues of drug use and violence within the framework of the state's public health system. Attorney General Raul Torres of New Mexico urged a more cooperative approach to difficult problems, such as enhancing law enforcement, passing stricter laws, improving pretrial detention rules, spending money on drug and mental health care, lowering recidivism rates, gathering real-time data on crimes, and putting in place protective service frameworks for children to prevent future offenses.
And I will keep doing everything that's based in science and fact and public safety effort.
That you said that all assault weapons should be banned. Is that a fair statement?
An escalation in violence perpetrated with guns, particularly among our young people, in a manner that I have never seen before.
North Mexico, a temporary weapons prohibition has been imposed by Governor Grisham in response to recent slayings in Teos County and Albuquerque. The governor's directive is anticipated to place the police in a dangerous position while negotiating a police reform agreement with the U.S. Department of Justice. The governor's plans to implement restrictions as a means of curbing fatal crime, however, have been attacked by Grisham. Since 2019, the governor has approved a number of legislation restricting access to arms, such as a 2020 red flag bill permitting law enforcement to temporarily seize arms from people who may hurt themselves or others, and expanding background checks to nearly all private sales. She also supported a rule that bans the possession of such by people who are subject to long-term protective orders because of domestic misconduct. According to the order released, state officials are to conduct monthly compliance checks on all dealers to ensure they are following the law. A report on gunshot victims in New Mexico hospitals will also be created by the State Department of Health, which will include information on the brand and caliber of the relevant arms, as well as other general circumstances. She accepted the need to keep New Mexicans safer, despite some law enforcement officials having reservations about the interim ban All of them remain open questions, according to police spokesperson Gilbert Gallegos. In summary, the state Senate and law enforcement officials have criticized the governor's move to implement arms restrictions in Albuquerque and Taos County. Although the order's legal status is still up in the air, it is thought to be a vital step in lowering crime in New Mexico. Federal judge halts ban. Governor Michelle Grisham of New Mexico issued a public health order that suspended the right to carry an arm in public in the state's largest metropolitan region. A section of that order has been halted by U.S. District Judge David Urias. The choice was made in the midst of growing political discord and criticism of the Democratic governor's move. Based primarily on statistics for gruesome crime in Albuquerque and its environs, Grisham issued an emergency public health order suspending the right to openly carry or hide guns in public areas. She justified the order by pointing to recent incidents in the state, notably those involving minors.
Defund the police, and then they want to take our Second Amendment right to defend ourselves.
That suspension does not apply to any private property. We have the third highest gun-related injuries in the country, 90% higher.
Plaintiffs who claimed that Grisham had violated their constitutional rights won the judge's support. He issued a temporary restraining order, preventing the governor from suspending the right to bear arms until a subsequent hearing in early October. Governor Grisham responded by pledging to expand state police presence in Bernalillo County and concentrate on capturing people wanted on outstanding warrants. She also intends to give the healthcare system instructions to increase its ability to deal with drug addiction and homelessness. The plaintiff's attorneys contended that the governor had other options for resolving the situation and painted her actions as a retaliatory measure against law-abiding citizens. They emphasized that there are no exceptions to the Second Amendment and that state governors are not allowed to arbitrarily seize the arms of their citizens.
That you're safe going to the grocery store, you're safe going to a baseball game, you're safe walking on a hiking trail.
Getting assault weapons, AR-15s, out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them.
An escalation in violence perpetrated with guns, particularly among our young people, in a manner that I have never seen before.
They were assaulted and shot by someone and couldn't defend themselves because their guns were taken from them.
The majority of Republican legislators in the legislature have demanded that the governor be put on trial for impeachment due to worries that public health orders might be used to shift policy. Even some well-known Democrats in the state, including Attorney General Raul Torres of New Mexico, believe the governor should have spent her time more wisely by writing comprehensive legislation to address the problem. All people in Bernalillo County who legally owned an arm were impacted by the governor's order to ban open and concealed carry of arms, with a few notable exceptions, as New Mexico is an open carry state. In order to maintain and defend the constitutional rights of all citizens, the New Mexico Attorney General has publicly indicated that his office would not defend the governor's order. Legal battles erupt. An order that limits the right to bear arms has the New Mexico Attorney General in legal hot water. Numerous lawsuits have been brought by groups like NAGR, GOA, SAF, and FBC as a result of the governor's decision to instruct state police to enforce the order. In order to stop the governor from enforcing the order, several organizations are requesting a TRO.
This rule turns law-abiding gun owners into felons is a result of unelected bureaucrats.
I'm not safe. And what are you going to do about it? I'm terrified in my own neighborhood.
For God's sake, America already has more guns than people. How many guns do we need until everybody is safe?
According to the GOA lawsuit, the defendant's conduct is unconstitutional under the Second Amendment, which protects their right to bear arms, so there is no moral, legal, or other justification. They contend that before it leaves the station, the court must put a halt to this unlawful farce. The plaintiffs ask for a temporary restraining order to be issued right away, followed by a preliminary injunction, and finally a permanent one. In opposition to the governor's directive, GOA has obtained a temporary restraining order, asserting that the state lacks any legal justification for its actions. They are asking for a restraining order against the governor as well as an ex parte court hearing. Along with other organizations, GOA is demanding an urgent TRO to revoke the public health order. To block the government, they are also asking for a preliminary permanent injunction. They are seeking for the TRO to be issued ex parte going forward, which would mean that the government would not have to defend the order's legitimacy. This demonstrates the necessity for more comprehensive legislative solutions to safeguard arm owners' safety and defend their rights. A recent hearing was held regarding a number of TROs, including the GOA case, which contested the governor's order outlawing open and concealed carry in New Mexico. As a Biden appointee who faced opposition from the state's attorney, the judge's decision to give a temporary restraining order against this order was a major victory for the plaintiffs.
Second Amendment protects firearms in common use at the time and also said this, quote, for lawful purposes like self-defense.
In that community to report a crime, to tell us what's going on, to aid law enforcement, to do something different.
But, Madam Speaker, guns have been prevalent in the United States of America since before our founding.
More than $150 million for retention, bonuses, and recruitment of new police officers.
The plaintiffs had satisfied the requirements for a TRO, including a chance of success on the merits, irreparable injury, and balancing the public's interest, according to the judge. The judge issued a restraining order which forbids the enforcement of certain parts of the order, particularly Sections 1 and 4. Due to schedule conflicts between the attorneys, the restraining order will be in effect for a longer period of time than 14 days. On October 3rd, there will be a preliminary injunction hearing where it will be decided whether or not to issue an injunction that goes beyond the TRO. Due to the size of the emergency and the substantial constitutional burden it would represent, this victory was crucial. The state of California was sued by the CRPA, the GOA, the SAF, and other parties after SB 2, their new concealed carry ban, was passed. The new law has established so many sensitive sites that it makes it practically impossible for people to carry concealed throughout the whole state, thereby closing off most streets, sidewalks, and establishments. This was a direct reaction to the Bruin judgment by the Supreme Court.
Because I hope we'll do more, because the city of Indianapolis has higher murder rates than the city of Chicago.
If you are committing a crime in Bernalillo County and we catch you, we're going to force you to get treatment through the criminal justice system.
Could lose the ability to use these tools and as a result may not be able to operate their firearm.
Case studies have demonstrated successful outcomes at the district court level, even in arm-free zones, in situations like the Antonick case and the New Jersey Coons case. CRPA, GOA, FBC, and other plaintiffs in the litigation are hoping that this will be the outcome. The right to carry is one of the key conflicts that are now taking place. Some states still disobey the Bruin decision of the Supreme Court, which upholds the Second Amendment's right to keep and bear arms. Organizations like the CRPA, GOA, FBC, and others are stepping up in response and defending the populace. Giving money and supporting these organizations' legal efforts are two crucial ways to assist. Political battle over government shutdown delays vote. The political battle over a government shutdown is preventing Congress from voting to formally censure Michelle Grisham over her arms prohibition. Democrats from New Mexico at least one claim to be on board. Congressman Gabe Vasquez, whose district includes sections of the South Valley, believes that we need to concentrate the discourse on that and come up with constitutional, legal, and enforceable solutions that will benefit children and our families. He stated that he would support a resolution denouncing the governor and insisted that any measures taken to reduce crime must be legal and enforced. The entire House was scheduled to vote on a resolution denouncing the governor, but a representative for New Mexico Congresswoman Teresa Leger Fernandez tells it was related to the continuing resolution to fund the government for the following month, and the resolution was placed on hold when a procedural vote was postponed. Congressman Vasquez says he will support the resolution, but it is more about the need to defend arms owners' rights than it is about criticizing the governor.
Effective leadership and all the evidence-based, right, reduction in gun violence policies.
Ban assault weapons, ban them again, do it now, enough, do something.
Living in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County, I believe that you're safer for the next 30 days.
The governor did something to raise the conversation about violence in this state that we desperately need to talk about, asserts Vasquez. Rep. Melanie Stansbury, who represents a sizable portion of Bernalillo County, declared she would vote against the condemnation and called it a diversion from the fight to keep the government open. Leger Fernandez, a congresswoman, has not yet indicated how she will vote. Senator Martin Heinrich, when asked what he thought of the governor's directive in the meantime, said, "I'm not a judge, but it seems outside the bounds of what most courts have ruled in recent years. So let's concentrate on those areas where we can and should pass new legislation." To be detached from the House resolution to fund the government, the resolution on the governor may be sent back to the Rules Committee. Attorney General refuses to defend public health order. Raul Torres, the Attorney General of New Mexico, has stated that he will not defend the state government in the event that any challenges are brought against the public health order that was issued on September 8. Torres has claimed that he is unable to provide legal representation for Governor Michelle Grisham and the state's health secretary because he believes that the emergency order that places restrictions on the public's ability to possess arms in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County violates the Constitution. However, Torres has given a limited commission to administration lawyers or outside counsel so that they can defend Grisham and Patrick Allen, who is New Mexico's Secretary of Health.
Not really. Look, if you want the community to be safer, show me that you can do that.
Americans have the fundamental right to keep and bear arms that shall not be infringed.
Or licensed security officer shall possess a firearm.
It has been brought to the attention of a federal judge in Albuquerque that Grisham and Allen are identified as defendants in 4 separate instances. 3 different arms rights organizations have requested that the order be stayed, and U.S. District Judge David Urias will hear arguments on this request. Following an examination of the online court records, it was discovered that no attorneys have formally intervened on behalf of the administration. Torres' letter was delivered to the governor's office, according to a spokeswoman for the governor who confirmed the news. According to Caroline Sweeney, let me be clear, Governor Grisham did not ask the Attorney General to represent the state. The governor is looking for state leaders to step up and take bold steps in order to make New Mexicans safer from the scourge of crime. We would want to extend an invitation to the Attorney General to focus his attention on that endeavor. According to Lauren Rodriguez, who is the Director of Communications for the AG's office, no attorney is allowed to defend a public official in court without first receiving a commission from the State Attorney General. The commission is limited to providing legal representation throughout the trial. In the event that the lower court decides to invalidate the public health order, this provision does not give the administration the authority to appeal any decision.
To the city that has the most significant issues today, and a challenge to the state.
To exercise their own decisions about what type of firearm they legally purchase and own.
Even though Grisham has already dispatched New Mexico State Police to Albuquerque and Bernalillo County, at the time of the interview with CNN early in the morning, the order had not yet been carried out and was therefore not being implemented. A voicemail was left with a state police spokeswoman by Source NM, inquiring as to whether or not that was still the case. In a conversation with CNN, she made the following statement: "We haven't issued any civil penalties, but that doesn't mean we aren't, and that doesn't mean that we don't have the ability to do that." Opponents from all over the world have voiced their fears that the order will overstep the authority of the executive branch, violate the privacy rights of New Mexicans, and put an unnecessary amount of money into the hands of the police. The American Civil Liberties Union in New Mexico has issued a statement through a representative indicating that the organization is concerned about the element of the order that pertains to search and seizure.
Seizure of weapons from the homes of law-abiding American citizens.
Just the firearm issue. The public health order will evolve and has
A critical and urgent issue: gun violence in America. We're here because gun violence is destroying community.
Our Second Amendment. It's a hell no to government trampling on our freedoms.
Torres stated in his letter that he does not think the emergency order will have any kind of significant effect on the safety of the people. Senator Martin Heinrich of New Mexico stated that there is more that can be done, and that it should be done to put an end to crime and ensure that people have a sense of safety. He urged Grisham to explore if the time and resources spent defending the order in court may be better utilized in the preparation of a comprehensive legislative response to the issue of violence for the New Mexico legislature to consider during the forthcoming session of the legislature. This answer would be presented to the legislature for consideration during the upcoming session. Republican representatives launch impeachment petition. In the state of New Mexico, Republican state representatives John Block and Stephanie Lord have been instrumental in the state's response to the suspension of the Constitution by the governor in the Albuquerque region and the counties that surround it. They have taken the first step by formally initiating a petition to begin the impeachment process against the governor, but they are now looking for support from their fellow New Mexicans. There are fewer than 120 days left until the beginning of the session, and Republicans in the state are concentrating their efforts on writing comprehensive legislation to address the problem of crime. The press secretary in Governor Karen's office, Caroline Sweeney, expressed sadness, but she was not surprised by the impeachment effort. Her criticism centered on the fact that it was more of a political gimmick than a serious attempt to develop solutions that would safeguard the safety of all New Mexicans. In order to make communities and schools a little bit safer, the governor and the Democrats in the legislature have been doing their best to pass some common-sense measures regarding arms control. The following statement was issued by Representatives Block and Lord in regard to their endeavor to impeach the governor. State Representatives John Block and Stephanie Lord officially launched the certificate form for state law. They contend that Governor Karen committed a number of felonies when she suspended the Constitution.
To exercise their own decisions about what type of firearm they legally purchase and own.
Metro Detention Center. We know that that is the largest mental health facility, drug treatment center in the state of New Mexico.
Gunned, we're outmanned, we're outstaffed. We do need responsible gun legislation.
And I will keep doing everything that's based in science and fact and public safety effort.
Which had the effect of negatively affecting law-abiding individuals in Bernalillo County and infringing on the constitutional rights they were entitled to. A fast, temporary restraining order was issued by a federal judge, putting an immediate stop to the governor's directive. Representative Lord underlined the significance of the Constitution of the United States in defending the rights of individuals against decisions that are authoritarian in nature. Impeachment effort against governor continues. The two congressmen have also started a new website under the domain name impeachmlg.com, which encourages residents of New Mexico to submit resignation petitions to the governor's office. The website gives users the ability to send an email to every Democrat state representative in the state, requesting that they sign a certificate form petition for an emergency impeachment session of the legislature. In addition, impeachmlg.com will maintain a list of all the members of the legislature who have indicated their support for the Constitution by completing and submitting the certificate form for the extraordinary impeachment session. Representative Block said, "We are taking formal steps toward impeaching Governor Grisham because her despotic actions violated her oath and put every single New Mexican in danger." This statement was made in reference to the fact that Grisham's actions put the state in jeopardy. Since we believe that the illegality of this governor needs to be stopped as soon as possible, we have been at the forefront of efforts to impeach him from the very beginning. If we are unsuccessful in this endeavor, every petty tyrant in the land will cite Lou Grisham's illegal conduct as a precedent to gain more power by stomping on the rights of Americans. Therefore, it is imperative that we succeed. Therefore, the people of New Mexico ought to exert pressure on their state officials to take action. They are asking for an extraordinary session so that they can impeach her, despite the fact that the governor has declared that she will not order a special session.
Supporting the National Organization Women's Legal Defense Fund. I didn't know.
We can't sit here and have debates. We can't wait for the 30-day session in January.
This problem is real, and I'm grateful to be part of the solution, and I'm grateful for our governor's work in bringing together
that men and women in this country have the right to defend their own lives.
So far, we haven't heard back on if she's going to make a ruling regarding this delaying of permits.
U.S. lawmakers passed the most significant federal gun restrictions in decades on Friday following years of false starts and failures to tighten gun laws.
Because law enforcement agencies simply just aren't ready for it yet. Measure 114 is set to take effect on Thursday.
Gun violence is the greatest. In the case of the Parkland shooter,
90% of the, mass shootings would have been prevented. Even if they do that, it would have been prevented.
The legislative body is the one that needs to take this step, and the general public is strongly urged to exert pressure on their representatives. In addition to this, they want to find solutions to the crime problem that do not violate the rights of the citizens. This is a crucial juncture in history, and future generations will look back on how the country and the people of New Mexico responded when their governor suspended the exact thing she swore an oath to uphold, which is the Constitution of the USA, including the Second Amendment, as well as the Constitution of the state of New Mexico. These documents include the right to keep and bear arms. That's all for this video, folks. We'll see you next time.